Even if you're quite new to watercolor, you've probably seen a few videos on charging. You've likely watched an artist paint a leaf or a flower petal, then proceed to drop additional paint into the wet wash. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've done a video like that at some point. And it's a great example of charging, don't get me wrong. But today, I want to share how to use this method with trees in a way that I would describe as pure magic. I'm working on dry paper, 140-pound cold pressed, though hot pressed will be fine too. I like to start out with a thin line just to keep me on track. If I don't have a guide of some sort, my trees tend to tilt more than I'd like. I begin with a light color and a very watery mixture of paint. I'm using undersea green. Now keep a close eye on this next part. What I'm going to do is go back up to the tip top. I'm adding a nice drop of water, not a huge amount, just a single drop. My brush is carefully guiding the water through the branches, rehydrating any of those little areas that are trying to dry. All right, and now I can continue on. I like to keep the tops of my trees pretty thin. The branches are short and not overly full. And then as I work my way down, I just flick my brush outwards without putting too much thought into the individual movements. The farther down I go, the limbs begin to get larger as well as longer. And see how I'm leaving plenty of white space, but I'm allowing the branches to touch and overlap. In fact, I'm encouraging them to touch. And this is because I'm trying to create as many paths as possible. I like to think of these little paths as the rivers and streams that allow both water and color to flow freely from one location to the next. I want to keep my paint consistency watery, but sometimes it needs a little help. Have you noticed that I've continued dropping water into the existing paint? I'm going to keep doing this periodically to keep my pathways wet. If my rivers dry up, they won't be able to carry pigments throughout my tree branches. I can use my wet brush to carry water all the way out to the tips as well. Keep this going until the structure of the tree is in place. And a little touch of brown down here at the exposed trunk. And I'll add a few drops through the center, where any parts of that trunk might be seen through the leaves. Okay, now it's time for the really fun part. Drop darker values into the wet paint and watch as they move along those open waterways, spreading out. I'm tapping in perline green as well as turquoise. And as long as you drop your new colors into the branches and not out of bounds, they'll stay along the paths that you created and they won't venture into uncharted territory. All right, I think that's looking pretty good, but now I want to add some yellow. So let's see if we can get a sun-touched look on the right side of the tree. As long as the paint stays wet, I can continue to play and keep adding more drops of paint. Did you see how many different roads that last little drop of paint took? That's what happens when you create these pathways. The more intersecting areas that you have, the more the paint can just kind of do its thing and explore. I can tell the bottom right is starting to dry, so I'm just going to add some more water here so I can keep playing around. I'm not quite ready for it to dry yet. And now I can just keep dropping in more. And by the way, in case you're curious about this yellowish shade, I'm using quinacridone gold. And it's the newest addition to my palette. I'll talk more about this color in an upcoming video. I really love to watch the colors move through the maze, mingling and mixing, creating these cool blends that tend to dry in the most unexpected ways. And you'll get to see the results in a minute here. But I really do think you'll be surprised at how easy and satisfying this process is. And now I'm just going to pull the branches out further in a few areas and add some untethered pieces as well, just for fun. And I'll go ahead and darken my trunk one more time, as well as a patch of earth at the bottom here. Okay, so let's take a look at this tree now that it's dry. Aren't the results amazing? I love the hints of turquoise peeking out. I'd actually forgotten about adding turquoise after it had disappeared into the darker colors. And the varying shades of gold are wonderful. I wish you could see this in person. It looks so much more vibrant in person, but unfortunately the picture doesn't do it justice. Okay, for the next one here, let's try a deciduous tree, maybe an oak or a maple. While the branches and leaves tend to be closer together, I still want to leave plenty of white areas in between. So create those little creeks and streams like before. Give the water and paint options to flow up, flow down, or flow side to side. Adding my trunk, I wanted to find multiple connection points, so the colors from both the leaves and the trunk will mingle. And just like before with the evergreen tree, I'm aware of how wet my paint is, and I'll be adding small drops of water when needed. Let's throw in a few more streams and rivers right up at the top. And another drop of water to hydrate those limbs. And adding darker values to the trunk, all the way up into the highest branches. And isn't that nice when the brown finds its way into the blue leaves and just spreads out and takes over? And as long as I have enough water, then I don't even have to help it. It just knows what to do. I'm dropping in additional colors, remembering how the different layers of the evergreen found a way to peek out. And some darker values underneath here for a little touch of shadow. And once again, I'll extend those outer branches a bit. And I also want to add a few pieces that are disconnected, just like before. I really like how that top right section is starting to dry, and so I'm actually not going to add any extra water there. I'm happy with it just how it is. All right, ready for the results? I think that's so incredible how the darker colors that I added last settled along the edges of the trunk, while that initial reddish brown shows through in the center. I absolutely love it. Okay, I have one final short project in mind for today's video, and this one is going to be just purely experimentation. Not entirely sure how it's going to turn out. So if you aren't familiar with super granulation watercolors, I'm going to link a playlist here. I've done multiple videos using the Schmincke brand super granulating paints. But basically what I'm going to do today is use this technique with super granulation paints, and I'm going to be painting a little row of trees here and letting these super granulation paints just kind of do their thing. And instead of only creating pathways from one branch to the next, we're actually going to be creating pathways throughout all of the trees. So that way the water and the paint is going to be able to flow from one tree to the next. So let's see how it goes. I think my main challenge for this one is going to be just ensuring that the trees stay wet enough, because once they start to dry, you just don't get things moving as free as you want them to. And I am using Arches paper now, which is a slightly better brand than what I was using before. And so I think that will definitely help as well. I found that it helps my paints just stay in that workable zone for a little bit longer. I don't always love using my expensive paper for these little experiments like this, but honestly, the cheaper paper just doesn't always do what you want it to, and it can be difficult testing out new techniques if you don't have a good paper. Because these paints already have 2 or more pigments in each one, I don't want to go too overboard with the additional charging. I'm afraid I could wind up with a puddle of mud. And do you see how I'm letting the branches collide so that they can share their colors? And I definitely don't want to forget about adding those additional drops of water when necessary. A dried out riverbed will not help our cause. I have 3 favorite brushes that I use when I paint trees. Number 1 is the pointed round, usually a fairly small size. Number 2 would be a wisp brush, and I use that for a lot of different things, from trees and branches, leaves, flowers, you name it. Almost anything having to do with nature, I love the wisp brush. And then number 3, I do sometimes use an angled brush for trees as well. It has a little bit of a pointed tip, so it's kind of nice for that flicking out motion. And actually, I have ordered myself I think it's called a dagger. I've never used one, but it has a really nice tip to it, and I have a feeling it's also going to be great for trees. So I'll let you guys know how that goes once I've tested it. So if you have a limited selection of brushes, not to worry. So many different options will work for creating these wispy, whimsical trees. And when painting multiple trees, I do like to vary them, not just in size, but also I like to vary the way their branches grow upwards, horizontal, or even slightly downward. And some limbs will have more of a flip than others. I love watching the colors spread out, mixing with the existing paint. And so every time I get a chance, I make sure I have more of those connection points. See how these branches are just reaching out to grab the tree next door? And now I'll see if I can drop in some shades of yellow here and there, because I just really do love that look. The sun-kissed look. Of course, it's more noticeable on some of these colors than others, but that's okay. Couple blades of grass here and there, and I think we are almost done. Now I'm using my fan brush to splatter on some paint. Actually, let's go a little bit darker. That first splatter just wasn't as noticeable as I'd been hoping for. All right, that's pretty nice. The darker paint is making some sense of shadows, so I'm just going to go with that and add a little more to it. Yep, and thanks to those wet pathways, it's still doing its thing, spreading out and finding its way from one tree to the next. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop there and wait for this one to dry. And here we are. I really do wish you could see this in person. So much of the depth is lost in the photos, but I still think it looks really good. And I hope that you'll enjoy playing around with this technique, and it really is just so fun and easy. And I would say it's a slightly more adventurous take on charging. So try to see how many connection points you can make between your bushes, your trees, your patches of grass. Give the water and the paint numerous highways to cruise down, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with your results. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.